Hey guys, it's Tim and this is Wrestling Unlimited as it's a Monday, and that means tonight was Monday Night Raw, and I thought it was a pretty dang good Monday Night Raw with a super hot angle to close the show. That Roman Reigns angle at the end, I was thinking throughout the show and throughout the day and stuff, I'm like, I wouldn't be shocked if Roman shows up somehow at the end of the show and, does something with Seth or Punk or whatever. Like, I didn't think it was possible, but I was like, I'm not going to rule it out. But at the same time, I'm kind of just like, I think we just get Seth and Punk. And then maybe Roman shows up at the very, very end. Or maybe they tease something. I didn't think it was going to go down the way it did. And I loved it. I thought it was awesome. Fucking Roman pulling Seth out of the cage, and we'll go in detail on all this, but I just want to talk about this main event thing because it's on my mind right now, and it was awesome. It was great. Roman pulling Seth out of there, so he technically helped Seth win, but they beat Seth's ass all over ringside. Then sees freaking, and Bangs got a couple questions here. It's like, he sees Heyman talking to Punk in the cage, and he loses his mind. So, Bangs ass had a feeling Roman may show up tonight, and like, I think a lot of people had a feeling it was possible, but I gave it less of a chance of, like, if I was putting a percentage on this, I probably would have been like, I'm more 60% more Roman's not going to show up than the 40% he might. So it's like, I was pretty split on, but I thought maybe a little bit more of this, let this match go and then we do whatever. Or, yeah, I don't know. But he says, didn't expect him to start attacking CM Punk. Was that because Punk threw him out of the Rumble? I mean, it'd probably be a couple of things. That could be one. Yes, Punk did eliminate him from the Rumble. But I think this was more of, what are you doing talking to my wise man? I'm surprised he didn't get in Paul's face. I thought that was going to happen. When he grabbed Punk, threw him in the cage, spear. I thought he was going to go over there and yell at Heyman, what the hell are you doing talking to him like that? Why are you helping him, consoling him? I thought that was going to happen. And we were going to get freaking heel Roman for the triple threat. As Roman, in one instance, with Seth, he came off as that babyface wanting revenge, or just the guy wanting revenge. But then attacking Punk, he came off as a heel. Attacking Punk because he was talking to Heyman. We assume, we don't know. And I don't think he's going to be on SmackDown this week to explain anything, at least not that I've seen or heard. Don't know. Let me see. What's Roman's schedule going forward? Roman Reigns. Because he's been announced for a couple of upcoming shows. Here we go. Oh, that's from last year. Where is it? Here we go. Confirmed 2025 dates. Roman is 21st. So he'll be not on SmackDown this Friday, but he's set for the SmackDown the following Friday, and then SmackDown the week after that. So the Italy SmackDown and the London SmackDown. But keep in mind, and camera froze up because I put my hand up in the way. Keep in mind, they did not announce him ahead of time for this week's show, so there is the possibility Roman is on next week's Monday. There is that possibility, but the next two SmackDowns after this week, so the 21st and the 28th, they have announced that Roman will be on those shows. Yeah, because Roman Reigns sent out a tweet. Well, his Twitter account sent out a tweet. Greatness is coming to Bologna in London. Your tribal chief has business to attend to. Receipts are coming. Well, those receipts came about a week and a half early than he was leading on, I guess you would say. But yeah, no, really cool, really great. Not sure the Punk thing, though. Like, why Punk? Were you just mad that he was talking to... were you mad that he was talking to Heyman and Heyman was... Where did Heyman come from? Heyman did not come down with Roman that we saw. Because if that was the case, we would have saw Heyman before we saw him in the cage. If he came down with Roman. So did Heyman come down as Roman was beating Seth's ass, but through the crowd timekeeper area and get in the cage and go check on Punk? I don't know. What I would love, and I don't know if they would go this route. I know I'm saying a lot of I don't knows because I just don't know, but I'm happy I don't fully know. What I would love to see is Roman gets on Heyman and go, why were you consoling him? Why were you checking on him? Right? And Heyman would be like, it was nothing. My tribal chief, it was nothing. I'm yours. You're mine. We're together. And then at Mania, he turns on Roman and helps CM Punk. And then we've got the original Paul Heyman guy back with Paul Heyman. That would be so good. I would love to see that. Love it. Heyman and Punk back together, but a heel Punk. We haven't seen heel Punk yet in WWE, and heel Punk is fantastic. But with all of that, if I can get my notes to load here, because for some reason, there it goes. With all of that, I want to say thank you for joining us here. Twitch.tv/PWU Unlimited, YouTube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited, and podcast services all around the globe like Stitcher, Spotify, Google Pod, Apple Pod, Anchor, iHeartRadio, and so much more. Remember, if you are watching live on Twitch, you can help us out a couple of different ways. You can either help us out by hitting that donate button down below or by donating Twitch bits in the live chat. Also, remember, you can help us out by subscribing to the channel one of two different ways. You can either subscribe with a tiered subscription, or you can subscribe with Amazon Prime, because remember, if you have Amazon Prime, then you have Prime Gaming. Prime Gaming gives you a lot of cool things like free games, free stuff for games, and you always get one free subscription to any Twitch channel you want to subscribe to throughout the month. And I greatly appreciate it if you did right here for Wrestling Unlimited. Also, remember, go over there and help us out on YouTube. Help us out over there by hitting that subscribe button. That way you know we post new videos when we go live and when we post to the community tab. Also, remember, you can help us out by hitting the join button and becoming a channel member. As a channel member, you get access to emotes and emojis. You get access to our graphics packages, our graphics tutorials, watch-alongs, Q&As, and so forth. You can also get all of that at patreon.com/PWU Unlimited. And if you're watching on YouTube and you want to get your comment, question, or concern read live on the air, you can do so by donating a super chat in the live chat. And finally, head over to the Epic Game Store. Head over to the Epic Game Store and buy something. Whether you're buying a new game, whether you're buying an old game, whether you're claiming a free game or getting bucks for Rocket League, Fortnite, or Fall Guys, use this code right here, PWU Unlimited, at checkout, and you will be supporting us at no extra cost. Whether you're getting into that new season of Fortnite, getting Grand Theft Auto 5 Enhanced Edition, Split Fiction, or more, use our code right here, PWU NLIMITED, for all Epic Games and Epic Game Store purchases. As far as SmackDown does go, Michael Cole announced a sellout crowd of 19,000 in Madison Square Garden. I want to go check WrestleTix and see what the number was, at least that they were able to deduce. WrestleTix. Also, it was cool seeing Macaulay Culkin at another WWE show. Just the reactions he gets and the way he plays it off is so cool. So technically, according to WrestleTix, at 18,060. That was as of 3 hours ago. 18,060. It was set up for 18,198. So, yeah. Where was I? Cody Rhodes, Io Sky, Dakota Kai, Bianca Belair, Seth Rollins, and CM Punk were all shown arriving at the building. Jey Uso entered to kick off the show for his match with Grayson Waller. Fun little short match. Match went like, I don't know, it was like 8-9 minutes. And they didn't have a bad match. 9 minutes is what I got. Jey Uso, like I said, entered as Cole let us know that many celebrities were here in attendance tonight. And someone he named was Andrew Scholes, who got involved later because, well, he's got a new Netflix comedy special that they were plugging. Grayson Waller ripped up a kid's Yeet sign as he came down to the ring. And there's a... Where was I? This wasn't quite a squash, but this was a really good showcase for Jey Uso. I will say that for sure. I did write that here in my notes. I'm like, Jay dominated for the most part, but I wouldn't call it a squash, is what I wrote. So Waller used a theory distraction early on to take advantage, and they went to a break about a few minutes in, maybe like halfway through this match, about 4 minutes in or so. Jay fended off another distraction and hit a super kick, but Waller blocked his dive attempt and hit a rolling flatliner for it too. Jay fought back so after the break, Jay fought back, super kick and super kick and super kick. Theory jumped up on the apron, tried to cause the distraction, but actually kind of distracted Waller a little more, which led to a spear from Jay, and Jay pinning him to pick up the victory. Not much to the match. Like, it's a very simple, plain match, but it was just a match for Jey Uso to get a win and look good going into WrestleMania. Also, I've come to the deduction, I guess you would say, that Jey Uso's got a pretty dang good spear. He's been doing this spear for a while now, and a lot of times I'm like, he's just doing a spear. It's just a spear. But he's finally, like, coming into his own with it, where he lawn darts himself. It's not like a football tackle kind of spear, or I got to be super intense with it. No, it's more like he bounces off the ropes, and when he does it, he shoots himself to where his body's perfectly stiff, and he's like a lawn dart coming at you. I think it's great because it's different. He's not, trying to football tackle you. He's not trying to run through you. He's not trying to, hold, like, the edge ones were like, he'll spear you, grab you, and come down with it. The Roman one is more just a basic spear. Braun Breakers is a run through you. Kind of similar to the Gore, but not as intense, because I guess you would say the Gore is kind of a lawn dart one as well, but on a lawn dart trying to go through you. Jay's is just a lawn dart at you. So I like Jay's spear. Finally come around to it, I guess you would say. So after the match, Theory and Waller would attack Jay, but he dumped Waller from the ring and speared Theory. Jay splashed Theory, but then Gunther appeared, grabbed him and put him in a sleeper and put him down. So again, Jay looks weak to the champion, which is like, so are you just doing the thing to tell us, oh, he can't beat Gunther. Gunther gets his number every single week. Gunther's got his, and then he's going to just come out and get the win. I think that's what it is. He's eventually going to get that big win at WrestleMania when no one's expecting it, is my thing. There was a great video package for the CM Punk Seth Rollins match later tonight. Like, if you were on the fence about this match, or were just like, it's been a good feud, you watch this video, and whoever put this video together did a masterful job making this come off and feel like one of the best feuds in a long time in all of pro wrestling. Like, this video package was done so well, and they used the right clips to make this feel like a generational feud, a generational storyline coming to a head tonight, which technically it didn't, because it's leading into WrestleMania. But boy, I want to shake the hand of the person that made this video. Whoever edited this and put this together, kudos, because you did it, and you did it right. During the break, there's a video package for Penta and another one for Ludwig Kaiser. Also, correct me if I'm wrong, Penta worked Walking Wild for the main event tapings. So if you're a fan of watching main event or just want to know what Penta's up to, so you check out all the Penta matches, Penta will be on main event against Walking Wild. Heard it was a banger. Heard they worked very well together. After commercial break, Alpha Academy approached Jay in the trainer's room just to check on him. Otis said that they had to have his back and said that he said he's all right. So Otis being a good friend, all three of them actually, going and checking on him, say, hey, you've had our back with Gunther. Sorry we weren't there for you, but we're here now. Are you okay? Then we had Logan Paul come out. Logan Paul came down. I don't know if this guy was a fan or a plant or something. It had to have been a plant. He's not doing this to a random fan. But they now have I Hate Logan Paul t-shirts. And he literally saw a fan wearing one in the front row along the aisle, and he ripped it off the guy, and the guy was like, what are you doing ripping my shirt off? So yeah, I think it was a plant. Pretty sure it's probably a plant. Anyways, Paul got absolute heel heat here. They were booing the crap out of him, and he said his name was associated with people like Dwayne The Rock Johnson and John Cena, who transcended this business, and he would do anything just like them to reach the top. That's why he was shocked when Cody Rhodes turned down The Rock. It took Cena 20 years to realize that nice guys finish last. Paul wanted Rock to know, hey, I'll do anything. Like, you want my soul? It's for sale. You can have my soul, Rock. Dwayne The Rock. He said, you can have my soul, Dwayne The Rock. Final boss, whoever they're calling you these days. I was like, okay. And then next battle, there's a lot of celebrities here. And he calls out Andrew Scholes. And he's like, look, we got Andrew Scholes in the building. What's up? I know Andrew, podcast guy well. And he's like, give Andrew a microphone. And so they hand Andrew Scholes a microphone. And he's like, Andrew, stand up. Let's talk for a second. And he's like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good, Paul. And Logan's like, no. I know you like to talk. I've seen the podcast. I like the podcast. Which Andrew Scholes got a great podcast. Great podcast. And he's like, what are you here for? What'd you come to see? He's like, I came here because I want to see CM Punk and Seth Rollins in the cage match. He's like, but who'd you really come to see? Like, who'd you really come to see? And Scholes is like, well, I'm going to say it right here. No one in New York came to see you, Logan Paul. Logan Paul got mad. He said, we're a real city. Unlike Cleveland, Ohio. We want to see real wrestlers. We want to see guys like AJ Styles. That pissed off Logan Paul. Where I'm like, hold on. You're saying Cleveland comes to see Logan? No, they don't. They come and they boo Logan out the building in Cleveland. Anyways, he was going off of his scripted lines, most likely. This was all set up. Came off very well, though. Like, Andrew Scholes came off like a pro. It didn't feel scripted other than the whole, you had to, say we don't like Logan, shoehorn AJ Styles in there to get where they got to. So, yeah, this worked. So Paul grabbed Scholes, and he dumped him over the barricade to the floor. Paul then threw him into the ring, grabbed him, and was like, I'm going to suplex this guy. I'm going to suplex this guy. And right as he's about to lift him up, we don't want none. We don't want none. Out come AJ Styles. AJ bolted down to the ring. Logan tossed Scholes aside, but AJ got the better of him. Crowd popped big for AJ Styles. AJ knocked Paul down, jumped on the apron as Scholes had gotten back up into the corner. AJ hit him with a phenomenal forearm. And Styles off mic yelled, fuck yeah! And slapped hands with Andrew Scholes. Oh, that was great. So Logan Paul's all dejected and beat up. And he's walking to the back. He's like, oh. And AJ took the mic. Styles kept telling him, this is New York City, a real city. I'm not done with you, Logan Paul. Come back here into this ring. He's like, oh, you're not listening to me now? You're just gonna walk? You're gonna run to the back? Oh, maybe you're not gonna run. You're just gonna walk. Yeah. And it's just all kinds of things. He's talking down, not down, but like talking crap. And then eventually he's like, this is real New York, and he raised Andrew Scholes' hand up, and they celebrated in the ring. Super hot for this. The crowd was. The crowd loved this. This was great. I thought this was a slam dunk. It did exactly what it needed to, and it was set up. Andrew Scholes was almost kind of like the perfect person for this, because you've got the big podcaster, Logan Paul, who is a WWE superstar. You've got the big podcaster, Andrew Scholes, who is a WWE fan. And so Logan thinks, I'm going to go talk to this guy. We're kind of similar. We're both YouTubers and podcast guys. He'll be on my side. And he's not. And so who comes out? This is kind of weird, though, because it was supposed to be AJ calling out Logan, but I guess Logan came out before and goes, I know AJ wanted to call me out, but I'm going to get ahead of things. I'm going to come out here before him. So weird that they did it like that. But I thought, all things aside, this was a very, very good segment. Crowd reacted super great for it. And yeah, it built up some hype. I don't know how much hype for the crowds and for the fans, but it did build up some hype for Logan Paul and AJ Styles, which kind of had been a little lackluster thus far. There's then a recap video of Io Sky beating Rhea Ripley. Then New Day came out here and did the perfect shit on the crowd promo, but it was during the break. So if you weren't watching international Netflix, you didn't see this. But this was the best or one of the best I've seen in a long time of shit on the hometown crowd and all their sports properties. Like, oh man. So then they come down to the ring during the break. Kingston, buries the Jets. Says, oh, you guys got Justin Fields. He ain't going to help that crappy team come out of mediocrity. And then he's like, and then you got the Giants. No one can help that. No one can help that helpless franchise or something like that. And then Xavier Woods is like, yeah, and we're here in Madison Square Garden. But the Knicks, they ain't even the best team from around here. It's the Brooklyn Nets. And the crowd boos big time. So they're talking shit, and then eventually it just cuts. And we're back to the program. They show Dana White and Nick Khan's TKO boxing announcement. More Dana White than Nick Khan, but Nick Khan is in a couple of shots. They then show boxer Callum Walsh and his trainer Freddie Roach in the crowd as well. They were hyping up his next boxing match that will be airing on UFC Plus. So it's like, hey, we got to get some UFC plugs in here. Even though he's not a UFC fighter, he's a boxer. The match is airing, and it's kind of a twofold thing. The match is airing on UFC Plus, so it's like, hey, if you can't go to the show, which is here at Madison Square Garden in the theater where NXT is going to be tomorrow, you can still watch it on UFC Plus. They also showed NXT champion Obafemi in the crowd. Before we get to the tag match, Esports Gaming Rules has got a bit donation here. He says, love that the WWE Hall of Fame induction ceremony is going to be separate from the SmackDown before WrestleMania during WrestleMania 41 Las Vegas weekend. Takes place at the, I know I butcher this name, Fontainebleau, Las Vegas, and I'm going to stay up for that, especially for Triple H and Lex Luger's induction speeches, and Lex wants Sting and even DDP to induct him. So I saw the thing with Sting, or Lex wanting Sting and DDP there. DDP for sure, I was like, that should be the one to do it. That should be the guy. Sting would make a lot of sense. Would he do it? For Lex, probably. Now, as far as the Hall of Fame induction ceremony, yes, it's not part of SmackDown anymore, or at least this year, but it's like, oof. It's literally, you go to SmackDown at the T-Mobile Arena, and how far away are these? T-Mobile Arena to Fontainebleau. How far away are those? You know what I mean? Because there's an hour difference between when SmackDown ends. That's not what I wanted. It took me to France here on Google Maps. There we go. So it's like, okay, sorry about that. So it's like, okay, it's a 9-minute drive with no traffic. But we know it's fucking Vegas. I've been to Vegas twice, and there's always fucking traffic everywhere. It's a... No way. Huh? According to Google, if you wanted to walk from T-Mobile Arena to this Le Fleur, Fontainebleau, whatever it's called, an hour walk? No freaking way. What's the distance? It is... So they say 9-minute drive, hour walk. What's the actual distance? 3.5 miles. But I guess the way you gotta go, you can't just normal walk it. I don't know. Again, I've only been to Vegas twice, so I don't know. Anyways, what was I saying? So as far as this goes, SmackDown's gonna air, or SmackDown's gonna be at 5 local time. It's a 3-hour SmackDown. 6, 7, 8. It ends at 8. Now, tonight on SmackDown, or Raw, they said that the Hall of Fame is going to start at 9 Pacific. But the announcement on their website said 10, so I don't know exactly which it is. But you may only have an hour if you want to go to both. So you got to, like, jet and get from one to the other. So we'll see how it all does go down. But it's going to be a late night. It's going to probably end around midnight Pacific. And, yeah. I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about this. Was that the right call to move it to another building? I almost think no. Because if you're going to do it on the same night, why make people have to go somewhere else? You know what I mean? Now, I get it. You're going to sell a separate ticket. It's not like a SmackDown Hall of Fame all-in-one ticket. So you're just going to do, the $100-something for your SmackDown ticket and you get Hall of Fame. Now it's, hey, go to SmackDown, you want to go to Hall of Fame too? You got to buy another ticket. So, like, that sucks. And then you got to get there in time. Hope you don't miss nothing. So, I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of if it's on the same night, you're doing it in a different building. I feel like if it's going to be on the same night, it should have just been in the same building. Yeah, the Hall of Fames right after the SmackDowns in the same building haven't been that great because like the crowds leave and there's kind of whatever about it, and it's like you got your SmackDown. This is an extra. So if you leave early, you're not really losing out like, oh, I paid money for this. No, you leave early. It's just like, okay, this was an extra thing anyways. But yeah, that's my thought on it. I think they should just, if it's going to be on the same night, do it in the same building. But hey, what do I know? I run production for companies. I don't tell them how to run their production. They tell me the show's on this day at this time. Here's what we need. Figure out how to set it all up and run it. That's what I do for people. I don't tell them when and where and how to run their events. I just help make the events actually happen at the place they tell me to do it at. Also, let's ban this guy in the chat. Anywho, a tornado tag. Kofi Kingston and Xavier was the New Day against the LWO's Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee. The crowd chanted for tables early on, so the LWO gave them what they wanted. However, New Day attacked them and put the tables away. That's the new heel heat spot. You let the baby faces pull out a table only for the heels to put it back, and so you know the crowd's going to boo big time. LWO got the advantage again. So the crowd chanted tables once more. LWO pulled tables out. The New Day attack before they can use them. New Day then had control through a break. Ray brought Woods off the top rope with the springboard Hurricane Rana. This was really cool. And Dragon Lee hit a double foot stomp on Kofi. So visually here, Kofi's in a tree of woe. Dragon Lee sitting on the top rope. Woods then climbs up next to Dragon Lee up on the top rope. Ray then climbs up on the other side next to Dragon Lee on the top rope. Ray bounces, jumps in front of Dragon Lee around, grabs Woods, boom, hits him with the Hurricane Rana. Kofi then tries to, sit up from the tree of woe. Dragon Lee goes, oh no, boom, the Alberto Del Rio double foot stomp. Really cool visual, really cool little sequence here. Dragon Lee then hit a running Hurricane Rana off the apron. That sort of put Woods through a table. This was weird. So he hits the Hurricane Rana. Woods flips off the apron and kind of like bounce slides off the table. And by the time he's no longer touching the table, all of a sudden the table just cracks. I'm like, what the hell happened there? That was weird. Table did technically break, but it broke after he hit it and was already off of it, which was weird. So Ray ran wild on Kingston, hit a 619 at one point. Kingston got his knees up on a frog splash and applied a cradle, but Dragon Lee broke up the pin. Dragon Lee then wiped out Kofi with a dive. Then, who we think is Chad Gable, an unidentified masked man, showed up wearing a USA-themed mask. The man, who I did in my notes write as Gable, but as we learn later, may not have actually been Chad Gable. So, where was I? So the man that we think is Chad Gable laid out Rey Mysterio, hit him with a German suplex, took out Dragon Lee as well, and then said, gracias, and was pulled away by security. Well, they tried to, and then he escaped and ran away in the crowd. Thanks to the interference here, New Day then hit Ray with the up, down, down, and pinned him to pick up the victory. So there we go. Fun little match here. I thought this was really good. And then they're like, oh, Gable's back with the mask. But as we learn later, he's such a great segment with him and Kathy Kelly arguing about, that's not me. Yes, it was. That wasn't me. That wasn't. Oh, we'll get to it. That was such a good segment with him and Kathy Kelly later. But yeah, because of the interference from the unidentified masked wrestler who did Chad Gable moves and a freaking Hurricane Run off that was really smooth too. So when he first shows up, he jumps up on the barricade and he hits Dragon Lee with a Hurricane Rana So, yeah. We got Judgment Day segment here. Finn Balor told Carlito that he was sick of Braun Breaker. Carlito wasn't listening. He was thinking about John Cena being a bad guy. And he thought Cena would be a good guy forever, just like him. I'm like, oh, okay. Good guy forever like you? Sure. Because you did not start as a good guy. Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, and Dominic Mysterio joined them. Morgan said that they were off getting Raquel a match against Bayley, with the winner getting a shot at the women's IC title. Dom also got Balor a men's IC title match against Braun Breaker next week. Balor hugged Dom and thanked him sincerely. Balor then left to make it official with Adam Pearce, just to, go double check, make sure what Dom said is true. After he left, Morgan goes, why does he got to go and figure it out himself? You already told him it's official. So it's like, oh, Liv is now like, oh, Finn doesn't fully trust what you say? So she said that. She was like, why didn't, I don't know. So, yeah. He was all confused. And, yeah. Dom's like, hey, it's all good. We then see Peter Rosenberg, Fabulous, and Macaulay Culkin sitting in the crowd. Macaulay Culkin played it up, hammed it up again. Gotta love it. Then we got Cody Rhodes. Rhodes comes out still sporting the big black eye and black top of his cheek area, whatever you want to call that area, and cut a hell of a passionate promo on John Cena. Which we know Cena is going to be on Raw next week. Cody's going to be there too. So Rhodes said that he was there because the Garden was the cathedral and WWE's home base. His WrestleMania opponent, John Cena, was not even here tonight. The mere mention of Cena's name got booed, as well as mentions of Travis Scott and The Rock. Rhodes noted that Cena would be in Brussels, Belgium next week, which they've already got new merch for that show up. We got links on our social media if you do want to check it out. He said this was the same Cena who first won the U.S. title in MSG and returned to the Royal Rumble from injury in MSG. It was apparently an easy decision for Cena not to appear in MSG. However, Rhodes did not begrudge Cena for having a, quote, part-time schedule. Then we did get some let's go Cena sucks dueling chants. Rhodes paused his promo and let the crowd kind of let it out. Rhodes did begrudge Cena for something, though. He mentioned Cena's social media post, stating that you must have the discipline to do what needs to be done, even if you don't feel like it. Rhodes compared Cena to the overzealous teacher or coach who kept giving advice, but it was time for Cena to sit down. He said, "You goddamn moron." Nobody defined the best for business quite like Cena did. There were 17,000 in attendance who knew what was best. And I'm like, okay. Michael Cole said almost 20,000 earlier. That's a big gap there. Anyways, the key to number 17, the record that Cena is chasing, it would be Rhodes' heartbreaking privilege to beat his hero in his last chance for the title. While Cena found out what the fans already knew, quote, "I'm the captain now," Rhodes said to end the segment. They did then announce Cena and Rhodes will be both on the show next week. So I liked this. I thought this was really good. I thought this came off really well. His SmackDown promo may have been just a little bit better, but they were very even, I would say. Pretty even. I liked it. I liked it a lot. Kivich says, I thought Brock Lesnar was the OG Paul Heyman guy. Technically, but Punk was the first one where they used the term, I'm a Paul Heyman guy. So that's why I say Punk's the OG Paul Heyman guy, because that was the first guy to say, I'm a Paul Heyman guy. Brock was, hell, everybody in ECW technically was. But Punk was the first to say, I'm a Paul Heyman guy, and that's where the shirts all kind of came from after that. So that's why I always say Punk. So Jackie Redmond had a quick interview with Lyra Valkyria during the break. Not much here happened. We then see Ollie Ahn. I don't know who that is. Rich the Kid. I didn't know who that is. Amanda Serrano. And the cast from Selling the City don't know who they are either. Also in the crowd. So I'm like, kind of all these goddamn people, I have no clue who they are. And we're supposed to be all impressed that these celebrities are here. Oh. Also throughout the night, they kept showing clips of different cage matches that took place in Madison Square Garden, including Jimmy Snuka hitting Don Morocco with a splash off the top of the cage from 1983. The match that made Mick Foley want to be a pro wrestler. Mick Foley said it multiple times. I hitchhiked to Madison Square Garden, spent the last couple dollars I had to get in, and I saw Jimmy Snuka fly off the top of the cage onto Don Morocco. He said, and in that moment, I knew this is what I wanted to do. So, yeah. We then had Raquel Rodriguez versus Bayley. Crowd was pretty dead for this match. It was an 11-minute match, and the crowd just didn't really care, which really sucked for these women, especially going 11 minutes. If it was like a 6-minute match and they didn't care, would still suck, but it's like, hey, you're not in there as long. 5-minute match, whatever. But 11 minutes, and they never really got this crowd. That's the whole point of it. It's like 5-minute match and you don't get the crowd, and it was 5 minutes. Okay, whatever. But an 11-minute match and you never really get the crowd? Damn. So Bayley fought back after a break. Not much happened in those first 90 seconds before the break. She had a flying elbow drop and got a 2 off of it. She missed a baseball slide by kind of a mile, but managed to shove Raquel into the post before Rodriguez could do anything. Dom then distracted the referee while Morgan tried to run interference, but Bayley knocked her off the apron. She also knocked Dom off the apron and went for a dive, but Rodriguez caught her and slammed her onto the announce table. Bayley barely avoided a countout, but Rodriguez booted her as she entered back into the ring. Rodriguez then followed this up with the Hana Bomb and pinned her to become the champion. I mean, the number one contender, not the champion. Number one contender. So now moving forward, Raquel at some point, I don't think, did they announce when she's getting the title shot? I didn't see. But at some point, Raquel will get a shot at the women's IC title. The crowd, again, like I said, just didn't care for this match at all. So then we got this great segment. Kathy Kelly's asking Chad Gable, hey, what was all that about? You attacking the LWO in a mask earlier? And he's like, excuse me? That wasn't me. You know, this New York City security, they're pretty crappy. They're pathetic for not getting that fan out of there before he got involved. Kathy's like, Chad, it was you. We know it was you. Just admit it. And he goes, it wasn't me. It was. Look, there's the guy right there. Security's got him. And Kelly's just like, oh, wait, what? It's not, it wasn't you, huh? She's so confused. And Chad Gable's just like, oh, thank you. Wasn't me. Look, he's right over there. Security's taking him away. So now, my big thing is, it was Chad. But who the hell's the other guy that he switched with? What the hell? Like, what? I'm so, like, confused in the best of ways, because now I'm just like, oh, man. What the hell is going on here? This is one of those goofy Chad Gable things that is actually, like, goofy in a good way. During the break, we got a Braun Breaker promo on Finn Balor, just talking about the upcoming title match next week. There was a clip of Randy Savage defending the WWF Championship in a cage at MSG in 1988 against Ted DiBiase. Oh, yeah, more celebrities. William Jackson Harper, Chris Diaz, Josh Sergara, and Nardo Wick. And I'm like, who the hell are these people? So we got a big segment with Io, Bianca, and Rhea. Michael Cole was in there to interview Io, the new Women's World Champion. He congratulated her on heading to WrestleMania as the champion, and the crowd popped for that. She called it a dream to be standing in Madison Square Garden as a champion. She was over the moon, knowing that she is now heading into WrestleMania. Before Belair then entered, she congratulated Io and said that she was excited for their match coming up. Cole asked Belair if Rhea Ripley would still be champion if she didn't get involved and wasn't sitting at ringside last week. Belair said that she had enough drama lately and was out there only to watch that match. If Ripley thought that she would put her hands on her and get away with it, well, she's got another thing coming. Out would come Rhea to a huge reaction. Like, oh my God, is Rhea over? Like, Io gets a good pop. Bianca gets a good pop. Rhea blows the roof off the place. She said she was skeptical of Belair's explanation. She said Belair should have left her to handle her own business with Sky while Belair handled her business with Naomi and Jade. Belair said that Ripley was mad because she knew she couldn't beat Sky. They got in each other's faces as Sky tried to kind of interject her way in between them. Ripley and Belair each shoved her aside, so Sky smacked them both right in the face. The crowd then chanted for Sky, and she was livid and left the ring. Basically like, oh, I'm the champion, and you guys want to go at it yourselves? You're not even going to think about me, who's got the belt, who you really want to be, putting your focus on? So, yeah. Very cool. I like this. I like this a lot. This was really good and basically telling us it's most likely a triple threat at WrestleMania. So we got some stuff announced for next week's show. Cody Rhodes and John Cena will be in the same building. Penta will take on Ludwig Kaiser. Jey Uso will take on Austin Theory. Dakota Kai will go up against Ivy Nile. And Braun Breaker versus Finn Balor for the Intercontinental Championship. Then we've got our main event. Before we get to that, get the poll going here on Twitch really fast. Need to get better at that. Getting the Twitch poll set up earlier. What did you think of Raw? I liked it. It was all right. I didn't like it. As far as this match does go, I've seen a lot of people trying to compare this to the Will Ospreay Kyle Fletcher cage match from last night at AEW Revolution. And here's my thing. Two different matches. Yes, they were both cage matches, but A, they had different agendas, and B, one was on TV and one was on a pay-per-view. One was setting up a match for a pay-per-view. One was there to just, blow off a feud and have a bunch of high spots. Now, I thought this was the better of the two if we're going to compare. And I'm not the only one to say this. Brian Alvarez said it last night. Vinny said it. Craig said it. They all said it. I think Meltzer even may have said it. That match with Ospreay and Fletcher just went too long. It went 29 minutes. And as I said last night, they hit a couple spots. I'm like, oh, we're about to finish. No, they're still going. Oh, no, they're still going. And when Brian Alvarez reviewed this match last night, he said the same thing. He's like, oh, there was that one spot where, Mark Davis gets involved, and we think, okay, if this is going to lead to the finish, and they keep going for another couple minutes, and then they do more things, and they keep going. And it's like, that match, it was more of a, hey, let's hit a bunch of cool spots to get pops from the crowd. I felt like a real story wasn't told. There was a lot of just messy things in that match. I'm not saying the match was messy setup. As far as I felt like the Takeshita Omega match was great. I felt like the what's it called? Ospreay Fletcher match was more just about, hey, here's a bunch of spots we want to do. Let's figure out how to get to them while we're there. Instead of a cohesive story being told throughout the match. So that's just my opinion. And then somebody got all mad at me about that, saying that I thought Seth and Punk was going to be better because it was going to tell a better story instead of just being a messy spot fest match. And yeah, which it was better because it was a match telling a story and it flowed very well. Instead of this other match that I know a lot of people ended up kind of by the end of it was over it because it just went too long and they did too much. Rollins chucked his jacket at Punk as he entered into the ring and attacked him in the ropes as the bell rang to start the match. The crowd booed him for that. Punk fought back briefly before they wildly slapped each other, punched each other, and so forth. Rollins then powerbombed Punk into the side of the cage, leading to a break 3 minutes in. He then hit another one during the break. Rollins repeatedly drove Punk into the cage during the break. When they come back from the break, Rollins opened the door and invited Punk to leave. He's like, you want out? Beat your ass already, so you can go. Punk then flipped off Rollins. Punk used a Hurricane Rana to drive Rollins into the cage and followed it up with a GTS. Punk did not go for the cover, though. Punk then drove Rollins' face into the cage and hit a running knee to the back of the head, causing Rollins' face to bounce off the cage. Punk invited Rollins to leave this time, and Rollins flipped him off. Punk then hit repeated elbow drops and consecutive flying elbows. As Cole noted, neither man had gone for the cover yet. It's more about hurting the other first. Punk hit a third flying elbow and finally did try to go for the cover, but Seth kicked out at 2. Punk climbed to the top of the cage, so Rollins met him up there. Rollins yanked Punk down from the top of the cage with a huge superplex. He went for the pin, only got a 2 off of it. Crowd reacted like this was a superplex off of the cage, but it was basically just a normal superplex if you really think about it. Yes, CM Punk was on the top. But by the time Seth got him into the superplex position and then just hit the superplex, it was no different than a normal superplex off the top rope. Like the distance and the fall and all that. So kudos to them for making a normal superplex look bigger because of the cage aspect. Rollins then went for a pedigree, but Punk countered into a GTS for a near fall. Punk went for another GTS, but Rollins countered into an STF, the same move that was used on him in the Elimination Chamber to make him pass out and Cena win. Punk reversed it, though, into an Anaconda Vice, but Rollins raked his eyes to get out of it. Rollins then followed this up with a curb stomp for a near fall. Rollins then set up for the super stomp. Punk yanked him off the ropes and hit a third GTS for a near fall. A frustrated Punk then hit a curb stomp of his own for another near fall. Punk saw the door open, but turned around to see Rollins screaming at him, saying, quote, "If you want my house, take it from me, you asshole. You want this from me? Take it from me. Earn it, you asshole." Punk then hit him with a running knee and set up for another GTS, but Rollins popped out and hit a GTS of his own. Rollins then follows up with the curb stomp and got a near fall. Crowd was going bananas at this point. Crazy, wild. Rollins then hit a super stomp off the middle rope. Rollins seemingly had the match won. He was backing up into the corner to exit the door when all of a sudden the crowd starts stirring and we hear them going, "Oh, oh," but we only see the camera tight in the ring. They don't want us to see what's going on yet. And you hear, "Oh, oh," and the crowd's stirring more and stirring more and stirring more. And all of a sudden, hands come in the door, wrap around the neck of Seth Rollins, and he's yanked out of the cage, thrown to the floor by the OTC, the tribal chief, Roman Reigns. Mike Roman then lets us know, well, Seth Rollins just won the match. Well, Roman's beating his ass. Rollins was announced as the winner, and Roman grabs him and throws him into the barricade. Rollins then hit him with a Superman punch and a spear before actually hitting him with a curb stomp. Roman hit on Rollins. I think I said that wrong. Anyways, Reigns then placed Rollins' head on the steel steps and held him there for a minute, just yelling at him and yelling at him. He then backed up as he was going to stomp Seth's head on the steps when Adam Pearce and a bunch of officials and agents and stuff came down to stop him. They got in the way, and Pearce was like, "No, we're not doing this. We're not doing this." And Roman's like, "Oh, oh." He's looking around all pissed off like an uncaged gorilla, like just one of those apes ready to just brawl. And he looks over this way, and he's like, you see him pause for a second, and the camera goes over, and you see it's Heyman down on his knees, consoling CM Punk, also down on his knees. And Roman gets this look on his face like, "What the fuck are you doing?" So he gets in the cage, and Heyman kind of backs off of Punk. And like Roman's like, this guy, and he starts laughing. Where he grabs Punk and he throws him into the cage. Grabs Punk again and he throws him into the side of the cage before, boom, meeting him in the middle with a spear as Heyman had backed into the corner. And Roman stood tall with the crowd chanting, "OTC, OTC, OTC," and Roman posing with the show going off the air. That was great. That was great. That was awesome. Hot angle there at the end. Building to that triple threat, because I'm like, I can see where they can get to, Roman and Seth. How do they get Punk? Well, now they got Punk. Elite Tiss with a super chat says, when was the last time Meltzer gave AEW a bad review? So Meltzer all the time talks about how Tony Khan does not know how to market his company. All the time talks about how people don't know a lot of times that AEW is coming to their city. That AEW does horrible local marketing. So he talks about that all the time. And like last night, he said, Fletcher, he said the same thing I did, basically. That Fletcher Ospreay match went too long and didn't need as much blood as it had because we already had so much blood in the women's title match. So like Meltzer, people think Meltzer will never talk bad about AEW. But those are the people that don't listen to his podcast. that don't listen to his reviews and don't read The Observer. Because Meltzer is very critical of AEW, more often than people want to admit or even think. And those are because they're the people, I don't know if you do or not, Elite, those are the people that don't listen to his podcast, don't listen to him actually talk about AEW. All they do is read the secondhand or listen to videos like mine of his reviews. And so you think, oh, all Meltzer does is talk glowingly of Tony Khan and AEW. No. So, I mean, when they aired the Punk Jack Perry backstage footage from All In, Meltzer was one of the first to be like, that was the wrong move. You should not have done that. Tony Khan, no. So, yeah, no. And still calls it, you're saying Meltzer still calls Dynamite the best weekly show. You're talking about because of like the Observer Awards? Those are fan voted. Meltzer does not pick the Observer Awards. Those are completely fan voted by people that subscribe to the Wrestling Observer. So if you're over here saying, oh, Meltzer gives AEW all the awards, that's the fans of the Observer giving AEW the awards that they get. So, again, yeah. Luke had work this week, so no Luke this week. But with all of that, really good Monday Night Raw. We now 5 weeks or so from WrestleMania. Really starting that build heavy, really leaning into what we're actually going to start getting. And so with all of that, we got to check the polls. You know what I thought of tonight's Raw? Now it's time to hear what you guys thought of tonight's Raw as we go, refresh all these polls. Hold on. Oh, anyways, never mind. Someone sent me a message, but it's nothing pertinent. Something I could check later. All right, so as far as the polls do go, as far as the Threads poll, 85% liked the show, 15% thought it was just all right. As far as the Twitter X poll, 82% liked the show, 14% thought it was just all right, and 2%, 3%, 2.9% didn't like it. Looking at the YouTube community poll, 63% liked the show, nope, I did not get a community poll going. Community poll didn't post. It does this sometimes. The poll won't post on the community tab. I know they're reworking and changing up the community tab, and they have addressed it. Sometimes it glitches and doesn't post your post, so that's why that didn't go. 87, as far as the live poll does go, 87% liked the show, 12% thought it was just all right, and 1% didn't like it. And as far as the Twitch poll, 75% liked the show, 25% thought it was just all right. But with that, guys, that is going to wrap everything up. I want to say thank you for joining us here. Twitch.tv/PW Unlimited, YouTube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited, and podcast services all around the globe like Stitcher, Spotify, Google Pod, Apple Pod, Anchor, iHeartRadio, and so much more. With that, I will be back live on Wednesday for AEW Dynamite from, well, my old hometown of Fresno, California. I got to figure out if a couple people I know are going or not. Anyways, we'll be in Fresno on Wednesday for AEW. We'll be talking about it live here. And I'll see you next time. Have a good one, guys.